Hey there, everybody. Franklin Taggart here with the virtual coffee break. This is my coffee. Grab your beverage and let's chat for just a minute. I think this might be a short one because it's getting kind of late on a Sunday night, and I'm feeling my tiredness tonight. But there are a couple of things that are kind of crossing my mind. One of them is on Monday mornings, I meet with a friend of mine to talk about books, and we're currently reading a couple of different books, and one of them is called Originals by Adam Grant. Now, I've had this book in my Kindle for probably a couple of years now, but I just haven't read it yet. I'm really enjoying it. Adam Grant is someone that I really resonate with a lot, and I don't know if you have ever followed him on social media. He puts some very insightful posts up almost every day. So I've been enjoying that one quite a bit. And it's all about how we each have our own kind of unique combination of gifts and strengths and a unique path ahead of us. And he talks a little bit about, what it takes to be truly or true to your originality, I think would be a good way to put it. Wonderful book, and I recommend it. Another one that we're working on right now that has taken me a little while to get into, but I'm starting to enjoy it, is called The Art of Gathering by Priya Parker. Now, the friend that I meet with on Monday mornings brought up something in our last conversation that I thought was just really on target. And she said she wonders if there are some things about gathering in person that maybe we haven't forgotten, but we just aren't in the habit of because of being separated, over the last couple of years. And I had to think about that because, the last month or so, I've really gotten out of the house a lot more and around other people more than I have since March of 2020. And it is interesting to see how people are together right now. I don't recall, maybe after 9/11, I remember having a sense of, really needing to be connected to other people after that big event happened. But I'm feeling it again, and at the same time, it's like, I think that we're much more conscious about the way that we are with each other than we ever have been. We're thinking more about, what's a safe way to be together, and what's a safe way to bring people together, and what are the good reasons for gathering for gathering's sake. I grew up in a time when my grandparents' generation, they would just stop by the house and visit unannounced. And they would, sit and have coffee for an hour and a half, 2 hours. And it was just kind of built into the way that they lived. If I had somebody drop by my house right now, unannounced, and want to just sit around and chat, I don't know what I would do with that. So The Art of Gathering has a lot of really wonderful insights in it about how we can make our gathering much more meaningful and how we can make it much more intentional. In the fiction realm, I've been reading a lot of different stuff lately. Actually, it's not really in the fiction realm, but a couple of years back, I watched the series called Washington Spies. I think the actual title of it was Turn, Washington Spies. And I was just captivated by that show. And I finally have downloaded the Audible book and have been reading that for the last few days. And I am really, really enjoying it. The Revolutionary War is a part of history that I think I know the things that we were taught in school and not much more than that. But my wife and I have a friend who wrote a book on George Washington several years ago, and she read that. And I haven't read it yet, but I'm going to now. But she read that, and she just said, the research that he did shows a much different thing, a much different story of George Washington. And I think the title of the book that he wrote is called Becoming George Washington. So that one's on my list. And his name is Steve Yoch, Y-O-C-H. I'm looking forward to reading that one. But Washington Spies, I'm enjoying the book as much as I enjoyed the TV dramatization of that. It's about a aspiring going from Long Island to Manhattan at the height of the American Revolution. And really, really fascinating story. In the past couple of months, other books that I've read, one that I was just tickled by is one called A Man Called Uwe, and his name is spelled O-V-E. Frederick Backman is the author, B-A-C-K-M-A-N. This was recommended by the friend that I meet with to talk about books, and I have to tell you that it's one of the sweetest books that I've read in quite a long time. Another nonfiction book that I've read recently for the first time is The Satanic Verses by Salman Rushdie. I don't know why it's taken so long for me to come around to that, but wow, what a story. It was really complex, and the nuances in that book are really amazing. The characters, the plot, the dipping in and out of kind of a spiritual surrealism at the same time as, real things that are going on in the world. It was really a beautiful and strange book, I have to say. And before that, I read Amor Towles' most recent publication, The Lincoln Highway. Now, I've recommended a gentleman in Moscow in other podcasts. Amor Towles wrote that one as well, and that book that will be one of my favorites, I think, for as long as I'm still around. The Lincoln Highway appealed to me because a good part of my childhood was spent very near the Lincoln Highway. And in the state of Wyoming, the Lincoln Highway, was the main artery going across the south part of the state. And I was born on the Lincoln Highway, and I lived in 4 or 5 different places along the old Lincoln Highway as I was growing up. I remember when I was 7 years old, I got in trouble for going across the highway. Our house was on one side of the highway, and the store where I wanted to go buy penny candy was on the other side. And I disobeyed my parents and went down to Summit Market and bought some penny candy. I got in some righteous trouble that day. But the Lincoln Highway is figured into my history. And so I was interested to see what it was about, but it turned out that the story had really very little to do with the Lincoln Highway, other than it connected Kansas with New York, and some of the points in between. But it's more of a railroad story than it is a highway story. And it was another one that was just wonderfully written. And I don't hesitate to recommend it. It is very different from Gentleman in Moscow. Very different story altogether, which just shows Amor Towles is he's just a brilliant writer. So those are a few. I think this year, at the end of the year, I'm going to have a very long list of books that I've read and books that I recommend, more so than previous years. I think a part of that is because I've made more of a commitment to to reading and finishing books this year and not spend so much time reading Facebook posts and blogs and things like that. So those are the thoughts for the day on the books that I've been reading most recently. I am interested to hear books that you are reading and recommending. If you have any that you'd like to share, please put them in the comments. And if you've read any of the ones that I've mentioned, let me know what your impression was of those as well. So that's all I've got for tonight, and I'll be back again tomorrow with another coffee break, and I'll look forward to being with you then. Thanks so much for listening. So long.